Good evening, and welcome to our first Silver Scream. How are we doing this evening? Before we get our movie going, just gonna do a quick little thing. Happy birthday to Jason Voorhees. Today is his birthday. And today is also our very first Silver Scream here on YouTube. I will be giving you short facts about the film that we are watching tonight, which is Night of the Living Dead by George Romero from 1968. How you doing, Yor? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Gotta celebrate his birthday. And so we're gonna go and start our Silver Scream. Let me know if the volume is okay for you guys. Hey, Zach. This film world premiere was at the Fulton Theatre in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on October 1st, 1968. It was at 8 p.m. by invitation only, and the film was met with a standing ovation. I don't know if the Stream Elements chat's working correctly.
They ought to make the day the time changes, the first day of summer.
What?
Well, it's 8 o'clock and it's still light.
A lot of good the extra daylight does us. Now, we've still got a 3-hour drive back. We're not going to be home until after midnight.
Well, if it really bugged you, Johnny, you wouldn't do it.
You think I want to blow Sunday on a scene like this? You know, I figure we're either going to have to move Mother out here or move the grave into Pittsburgh.
She can't make a trip like this.
Oh, you know that she can't. Is there any of that candy left?
No.
Look at this thing. We still remember. I don't. You know, I don't even remember what the man looks like.
Johnny, it takes you 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes to put the wreath on the grave and 6 hours to drive back and forth. Mother wants to remember, so we trot 200 miles into the country and she stays at home.
Well, we're here, John, all right?
Test. Back on? Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming back on the air after an interruption due to technical problem.
This is one of the first films added to the National Film Registry of the Library of Congress.
Nothing wrong with the radio. Must have been the station.
Which row is it in?
I plan on doing this quite often, Yor. I love Night of the Living Dead, and I like doing research on films. So for sure, this is our very first one here on YouTube.
Well, it's late. If you'd gotten up earlier.
Oh, look, I already lost an hour's sleep on the time change.
I think you complain just to hear yourself talk. There it is.
I wonder what happened to the one from last year. Each year we spend good money on these things. We come out here and the one from last year's gone.
Well, the flowers die and the caretaker or somebody takes them away.
Yeah, a little spit and polish. You can clean this up. Sell it next year. Wonder how many times we bought the same one. Hey, come on, Barb. Church was this morning, huh? Hey, I mean, praying's for church, huh? Come on.
I haven't seen you in church lately.
Well, there's not much sense in my going to church. Do you remember one time when we were small, we were out here? It was from right over there. I jumped out at you from behind the tree, and Grandpa got all excited, and he shook his fist at me, and he said, "Boy, you be damned to hell." Remember that? Right over there. Well, you used to really be scared here.
Johnny.
Hey, you're still afraid.
Stop it now, I mean it.
The car in this film, that Barbara and Johnny's car,
Barbara.
is Russell Striner's mother's
Stop
vehicle.
It. You're
And the
ignorant.
cemetery scene was shot in just 2 days.
Stop it. You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
He'll hear you.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of here.
Johnny.
Also, someone ran into the car during a break in the filming, leaving a dent that was easily visible on camera. Romero rewrote the scene so the car came to a stop after crashing into a tree. Well, technically, the first horror movie was in the 1800s by the Japanese and by the French. So that dent there, that's the dent that I was telling you about, that someone hit the vehicle while they were on break. original script of this, the character for Barbara was supposed to be a very strong, charismatic character. Instead, Romero and the producers loved Judith's portrayal as a terrified young female much better and edited the scripts to accommodate that part. The idea of Barbara being strong, central character was revisited in Night of the Living Dead 1990 in Savini's edition. Right? It's like, surprise, motherfuckers! Do you know that the original title of this film was Night of Anubis? The god mummification in the ancient Egyptian religion. The title was changed once George Romero learned that very few understood the reference. I thought that was really interesting about this film, Night of Anubis. And it has never been explained why the dead body that she just found upstairs in the house never comes back to life. Because everybody else's body came back to life, right? Except for that one guy upstairs. I mean, mind you, it was just a fucking skeleton, but things were coming up out of the graves back then as well, according to this film.
It's all right. Don't worry about him, I can handle him. Probably be a lot more of them as soon as they find out about us. The truck is out of gas. This pump out here is locked. Is there a key? We can try to get out here if we can get some gas. Is there a key? I suppose you've tried this. Do you live here?
This guy right here, his name is Dwayne Jones.
please. We've got to get out of here. We have to get to where there's some other people. Maybe we better take some food. I'll see if I can find some food.
What's happening?
What the hell do you think is happening?
What's happening?
And this is when Romero wrote this film, DUANE was not even a part of the script. The script was actually supposed to be, this part was supposed to be given to a truck
There are
driver.
two of them out there. Have you seen any more around here? I can take
when
care of
DUANE
those.
came on, he said a few lines, and Romero was like, I need to have him. And that is how DUANE became this part in the film. It wasn't meant to have a black male lead. It just happened that way. Romero didn't write it that way either, because it was supposed to be a white truck driver. And it was also Dwayne Jones who helped build the character then, because it was, like I said, it was supposed to be a working class truck driver, but Dwayne Jones wasn't happy with that either, so he reworked it with Romero and Russo to make his character more educated and articulate. Formo, this film was done in 1968. This is technically the first zombie film, and Romero is considered the godfather of zombie, even though in 1930s there was a film called White Zombie with Bela Lugosi. But Bela Lugosi's White Zombie wasn't about true zombies like this, coming back from the dead. White Zombie was more of a hoodoo magic, rather than the dead coming back to life.
Don't look at it.
Well, there is no Romero film that has definitively revealed the cause of reanimation, but there have been several featured characters speculating a possible causes, like including radiation from NASA probe, divine intervention, a viral infection. nobody really knows why they came back. It was never revealed why. And the only reason why this film is in public domain, all because of an error in the credits. Night of the Living Dead might be the most famous public domain movie of all time, but it was never intended to be. Walter Reed Organization, which was the distribution for this film, they wanted it to release under the title Night of the Flesh Eaters, but lawyers representing the makers in 1964, the Flesh Eaters threatened a lawsuit, so the title was changed to Night of the Living Dead. When the title changed, though, copyright notices were not added to the opening titles and or to the end credits, so the filmmakers have fought it in federal court, but the film is still in the public domain, all because of an error between the lawyers and the copyright.
Why don't you see if you can find some wood, some board, something about a fireplace, something we can nail this place up. Oh, God damn!
Look, I know you're afraid. I'm afraid too. But we have to try to board the house up together. Now, I'm going to board up the windows and the doors. Do you understand? We'll be all right here. We'll be all right here until someone comes to rescue us. But we'll have to work together. You'll have to help me. Now, I want you to go in and get some wood so I can board the place up. Do you understand? Okay?
This is also George Romero's feature debut. He is in this film. All shot on 35mm film. There is a version of this film in Technicolor. It just doesn't have the same feel to it as the black and white version.
That's strong. Yeah, I want you to pick out some nails. Pick out the biggest ones you can find.
This film also had a lot of criticism when it came out because at its time, it was very graphic of gore, and it had a lot of issues.
If we have to, we can run in here and board up the doors. Won't be long for those things be back pounding their way in here. They're afraid now.
back in the 1960s, even in the early 1970s, there was problems with gore, violence, and especially with a black man yelling at a white woman, and he slaps her in here to shake her out of her hysteria. And that wasn't it didn't have a good reception when it happened. Not only for that, but the fact that it was too gory, according to people of that time in 1968.
There's a radio in the truck. I jumped in to listen to it when a big gasoline truck came screaming right across the road. But there must have been 10, 15 of those things chasing after it, grabbing and holding on. Now, I didn't see them at first. I could just see that the truck was moving in a funny way. And those things were catching up to it. The truck went
and
right
to create some publicity for this film, the Walter Reed organization made a stunt that was a $50,000 insurance policy against anyone dying from a heart attack while watching this film. So it would bring up more publicity for the film, leading that there was a $50,000 life insurance policy.
Ripped over a gas pump and never stopped moving.
Very similar to what William Castle used to do in his films with Margot, where they would
Didn't know the truck was going to explode or
things
what.
in the theaters to interact with the audience members.
Still hear the man screaming. This thing is just backing away from it. I looked back at the diner to see if there was anyone there who could help me. It was when I noticed that the entire place had been encircled. There wasn't a sign of life left except by now there were no more screams. I realized that I was alone with 50 or 60 of those things, just standing there, staring at me. I started to drive. I just plowed right through them. They didn't move, they didn't run or just stood there staring at me. Just wanted to crush them. They scattered through the air like bugs.
We were riding in the cemetery, Johnny and me. Johnny. We came to put a wreath on my father's grave. Johnny, and he said, "Can I have some candy, Barbara?" We didn't have any. And oh, it's hot in here. Hot. And he said, "Oh, it's late. Why did we start so late?" And I said, "Johnny, if you'd gotten up earlier, we wouldn't be late." Johnny asked me if I were afraid. And I said, "I'm not afraid, Johnny." And then this man started walking up the road. He came slowly, and Johnny kept teasing me and saying, "He's coming to get you, Barbara." And I laughed at him and said, "Johnny, stop it." And then Johnny ran away. And I went up to this man, and I was going to apologize.
Why don't you just keep calm?
And I looked up, and I said, "Good evening." and he grabbed me. He grabbed me, and he ripped at me. He held me, and he ripped at my clothes.
I think you should just calm down.
Oh, I screamed, Johnny! Johnny, help me! Oh, help me! And he wouldn't let me go. He ripped. And then Johnny came and he ran and he fought this man. And I got so afraid. I ran. And Johnny didn't come. We have to wait for Johnny. Maybe we better go out
Romero
and get him.
was inspired by
We have to go out
Richard
and get
Matheson's
Johnny.
novel, I
He's
Am
out
Legend.
there.
And I Am Legend
Please,
was
don't you
also
hear me?
inspired
We've got to
by
go out and get
Matheson's
him.
novel,
Please.
as well
We
as
have
The Last
got to
Man on
go get
Earth from
Johnny.
1964, starring Vincent
Please
Price. It
help
was
me.
also a part from this novel.
Please.
Look, don't you know
As
what's
well as
going
the
on out
Omega
there?
Man.
This is no Sunday school picnic.
Don't you understand? My brother is alone.
Your brother is dead.
No! My brother is not dead! Oh! Oh! Oh!
Because of the obvious threat to
and
untold numbers
Tom
of citizens,
Savini's version
and
of
because of
this
the crisis which is even
brings
now
the
developing,
original
this
character
radio station will
Barbara as a
remain on
feisty
the air
strong
day and
woman.
night.
And
This station
the
and hundreds
reason
of other radio and
originally
TV stations
Barbara's
throughout
character
this part
was
of
a
the country
strong,
are pooling their
charismatic
resources
female,
through an
but they
emergency
really
network
liked the
hookup
way
to keep
this
you informed
actress
of all
brought in
developments.
the helpless
At this hour,
version,
we repeat,
and so they
these are the
switched
facts
the
as we know them.
script
There is an
to
epidemic
bring
of
in
mass
this
murder being
helpless
committed by a
version
virtual army
of
of unidentified
Barbara.
assassins. The
And
murders
that
are
was
taking place
reversed
in
once
villages,
Savini did
cities,
his in the
rural homes, and
1990s.
suburbs
He
with
made
no
Barbara the way
apparent
she was
manner or
originally
reason for
written,
the slayings.
strong
It seems
and
to be
not
a
as,
sudden,
fearful as this
explosion of mass homicide.
actress.
We have some descriptions of the assassins. Eyewitnesses say they are ordinary-looking people. Some say they appear to be in a kind of trance. Others describe them as being...
And you'll know in this entire film, they never call them zombies.
So, at this point, there is no really authentic way for us to say who or what to look for and guard yourself against.
And yes, there is a nude ghoul
Reaction of law
in this
enforcement
film.
officials is one of complete bewilderment at this hour. So far, we have been unable to determine that any kind of organized investigation is yet underway. Police, sheriff's deputies, and emergency
You're gonna see the nude ghoul coming up here, and the night that they filmed the nude ghoul, all of Evans City found out about it. So they all brought their lawn chairs and set up around the edges of the property, and Judith Ridley was the one who played Judy. She said it was funny to see the rest of the zombies trying to keep their eyes elsewhere instead of looking down at the obvious places on the nude one. And the entire city of Evans was there hanging out on the lawn to watch the nude ghoul.
Keep listening to radio and TV for any special instructions as this crisis develops further. Thousands of office and factory workers are being urged to stay at their places of employment, not to make any attempt to get to their homes. However, in spite of this urging and warning, streets and highways are packed with frantic people trying to reach their families or apparently to flee just anywhere. We repeat, the safest course of action at this time is simply to stay where you are.
There was more than 200 extras who were casted for for this film, and the majority of them were actually townspeople. So all of the ghouls that you see in this film, or the zombies, the majority of them are townspeople.
The meeting is scheduled to convene within the hour. Members of the presidential cabinet will be joined by officials of the FBI and joint chiefs behind closed doors. The White House spokesman, in announcing this conference, says there will be an official announcement as soon as possible following that meeting. This is the latest dispatch just received in our newsroom. Latest word also from National Press Services in Washington, D.C. now tells us that the emergency presidential conference, which we've just mentioned, will include high-ranking scientists from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. That's the extent of this latest bulletin. Meeting members of this cabinet, the FBI, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and scientists from NASA within the hour. All radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country, including the one to which you're listening, have joined their facilities in an emergency network to bring you this news as it develops. We urge you to stay tuned to radio and TV and to stay indoors at all costs. Late reports reaching this newsroom tell of frightened people seeking refuge in churches, schools, and government buildings, demanding shelter and protection from the wholesale murder which apparently is engulfing much of the nation. Law enforcement officials are at a loss to explain or, even at this hour, even to theorize about the reasons for this wave of murder. So far, the advice we are able to give the public is some Chief T.K. Dunmore of Camden, North Carolina, was quoted as saying, quote, "Tell the people for God's sake to get off the streets. Tell them to go home and lock their doors and windows up tight. We don't know what kind of murder-happy characters we have here." End quote. This Chief Dunmore of Camden, North Carolina. So far, the only descriptions, the only clues anyone has of the killers come from frightened witnesses of some of the slayings. These eyewitness accounts variously describe the murderers as ordinary-looking people, misshapen monsters, people who look like they're in a trance, and things that look like people but act like animals. Some eyewitnesses tell of seeing victims who look as though they had been torn apart.
I completely agree with you, Bumpius.
Ghastly story began developing.
They call him the godfather of zombies, even though he never stated that these were zombies. He's always called them ghouls. But we all know that he is the godfather of zombies. This is what started the genre and revived it. I mean, there is the white zombie, which is, like I said earlier, in the 1930s, Bela Lugosi played in, but that was a different type of zombie. Those weren't undead zombies compared to what Romero is here.
Talking with officials in other cities and have determined that none of this kind of mass murder has yet been reported west of the Mississippi River, except in the extreme southeastern portion of Texas. Similar killings have been reported around the Houston and Galveston areas, but nothing like
I found a gun and some bullets out there.
It was only late yesterday
Oh,
when
and
it first
these.
became clear we were facing some kind of national emergency. When first reports began filtering in, newsmen and law enforcement agencies were of the opinion
This place is boarded up pretty solid now.
in nature. However, as these
We ought to be all right here for a while.
dramatically, it was soon apparent that
We
this
have a
was
gun
something
and
more than the
bullets.
usual run of lawlessness.
Food and the
Some
radio.
officials began to suspect an obscure kind of conspiracy.
Sooner or later, someone
Things as
bound to come and get us out.
creatures from outer space. So again, we join with
Creatures
law
from
enforcement
outer
agencies,
space on the
urging you to
radio.
seek shelter in a building. Lock the doors and windows securely.
Hey, that's us. We're doing all right.
Cautious of any suspicious strangers. And keep tuned to your radio and television for survival instructions and further details.
When they
of
were
this
writing
continuing
this
story.
film,
Look,
they
I don't know if you're
decided
hearing
to
me.
base this on zombies.
But I'm going
So they
upstairs now.
brainstormed about what would be the most shocking thing
anything should
for
try
a
to break in
zombie
here,
to
I can
do.
hear it
Because
from up
before
there. I'll
then,
be down
nobody
to
really
take
knew
care
what
of it.
zombies did, right? White zombie, they just walked around
Everything
brainlessly
is all right for
following
now.
orders.
I'll be back to
So when they
reinforce the
wrote this
windows
for
and doors
zombies,
later.
they wanted to
But you'll
add
be all
something
right for now,
shocking.
okay?
And this is where we first see zombies being
Okay.
cannibals and eating the flesh of other humans. And you'll notice in this
Civil
film,
defense
they're not
officials
just
in
going
Cumberland
for
have told
brains,
newsmen that murder
nor do they
victims
say
show evidence of having been
brains,
partially
but they go for the
devoured
human
by their
flesh,
murderers.
brains and all. And again, here's the body that's upstairs that never reanimates. Yeah, that was my Plants vs. Zombies.
Consistent reports from witnesses to the effect that people who acted as though they were in a kind of trance were killing and eating their victims prompted authorities to examine the bodies of some of the victims. Medical authorities in Cumberland have concluded that in all cases, the killers are eating the flesh of the people they murdered.
And so the writers thought that would be more shocking for cannibalism, right? Because you have to remember, before this, there was no zombies. There was no layout for a zombie film other than this one. So this set the standard going forward for zombies and all the zombie genre.
And so this incredible story becomes more ghastly with each report. It's difficult to imagine such a thing actually happening, but these are the reports we have been receiving and passing on to you, reports which have been verified as completely as is possible in this confused situation. It is happening, and it would appear that no one is safe from this wave.
Oh, and you remember the body upstairs where you see the eyeballs? Those were made out of ping pong balls.
Don't shoot. We're from town.
City,
a radio.
County, Pennsylvania. The Butler County Sheriff has verified that reports of murder victims being partially eaten by their slayers is true. No further details available at this time. However,
how long you guys been down there? I could use some help up here.
That's the cellar. It's the safest place.
You mean you didn't hear the racket we were making up here?
How were we supposed to know what was going on? Could have been those things for all we knew.
That girl was screaming. Sure, you must know what a girl screaming sounds like. Those things don't make any noise. Anybody would know somebody ever needed help.
Look, it's kind of hard to hear what's going on from down there.
We thought we could hear screams, but for all we knew, that could have meant those things were in the house afterward.
And you wouldn't come up and help?
Well, if there were more...
The racket sounded like the place was being ripped apart. How were we supposed to know what was going on?
Now, wait a minute. You just got finished saying you couldn't hear from down there. Now you say it sounded like the place was being ripped apart. It would be nice if you get your story straight, man.
All right, now you tell me. I'm not going to take that kind of a chance when we got a safe place. We luck into a safe place, and you're telling us we got to risk our lives just because somebody might need help, huh?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, why don't we settle this?
Look, mister, we came up. Okay, we're here. Now I suggest we all go back downstairs before any of those things find out we're in here.
They can't get in here.
You got the whole place boarded up?
Yeah, most of it. All but a few spots upstairs. They won't be hard to fix.
You're insane. The cellar's the safest place.
I'm telling you, they can't get in here.
And I'm telling you, those things turned over our car. We were damn lucky to get away at all. Now you tell me those things can't get through this lousy pile of wood?
His wife and kids downstairs. The kid's hurt.
Well, I still think we're better off up here.
We could strengthen everything up, Mr. Cooper.
The main house that they're in right now did not have an actual basement. It was just a dirt cellar. And so they had to, and also didn't have a long staircase leading down to it. As a result, the basement scenes were filmed in the editing studio cellar in downtown Pittsburgh. And you would never notice that it wasn't the house.
They turned over our car.
Oh, hell,
which is pretty cool.
That's my point. Only there's not going to be 5 or even 10. There's going to be 20, 30, maybe 100 of those things. And as soon as they know we're here, this place is going to be crawling with them.
Well, if there are that many, they'll probably get us wherever we are.
Look, the cellar. The cellar, there's only one door, right? Just one door, that's all we have to protect. Tom and I fixed it so it locks and boards from the inside. But up here, all these windows, why, we'd never know where they were going to hit us next.
You got a point, Mr. Cooper. But down in the cellar, there's no place to run to. I mean, if they did get in, the back exit, we'd be done for. We can get out of here if we have to. And we got windows to see what's going on outside. But down there with no windows, if a rescue party did come, we wouldn't even know it.
But the cellar is the strongest place.
The cellar is a death trap.
I don't know, Mr. Cooper. I think he's right. You know how many's out there?
I don't know. I figure maybe 6 or 7.
Look, you two can do whatever you like. I'm going back down to the cellar, and you better decide. Because I'm going to board up that door, and I'm not going to unlock it again no matter what happens.
Now, wait a minute, Mr. Cooper.
No, I'm not going to wait. I've made my decision, now you make yours.
Now, wait a minute. Let's think about this. We can make it to the cellar if we have to. And if we do decide to stay down there, we'll need some things from up here. So let's at least consider this a while.
At all costs. Late reports reaching this newsroom
If you box yourself in the cellar and those things get in the house, you've had it. At least up here you have a fighting chance.
Yeah, it looks like about 8 or 10 out there now.
There's more than there were. There are a lot out back, too.
So far, the best advice there is...
There's the naked ghoul. She's eating a bug off the tree.
Fix these boards.
You're crazy. Those things are going to be at every window and door in this place. We've got to get down into the cellar.
Go down in your damn cellar. Get out of here!
Best saying, quote, tell the people for God's sake to get...
I'm taking the girl with me.
You leave her here. Keep your hands off her. And everything else that's up here, too. Because if I stay up here, I'm fighting for everything up here. And the radio and the food is part of what I'm fighting for. Now, if you're going down the cellar, get.
The man's insane. He's insane. We've got to have food down there. We've got a right.
This is your house.
We've got a right.
You going down there with him?
Well,
yes or no? This is your last chance. No beating around the bush.
Listen, I got a kid down there. She can't possibly... I couldn't bring her up here. She can't possibly take all the racket and those things smashing through the windows.
Well, you're her father. If you're stupid enough to go die in that trap, that's your business. However, I am not stupid enough to follow you. It is tough for the kid that old man is so stupid. Now, you get the hell down in the cellar. You can be the boss down there. I'm boss up here.
You bastards. You know, I won't open this door again. I mean it.
Mr. Cooper, with your help, we could...
With my help.
Let him go, man. His mind is made up. Just let him go.
Wait a minute. Judy, come on up here, honey.
You're gonna let them get hurt too, huh?
It's all right, honey. Go ahead. If we stick together, man, we can fix it up real good. There's lots of places we can run to up here. Mr. Cooper, we'd all be a lot better off if all three of us were working together.
Hey. Hey, kid. He's wrong, you know. I'm not boxing myself in down there.
We repeat, this radio station will remain on the air day and night.
Well, we're safe now. It's boarded up tight.
What about Tom and Judy?
They want to stay up there, let them. There are two other people upstairs, a man and a girl.
We heard the screaming.
Yeah, but I didn't know who they were, and I wasn't about to take any unnecessary chances.
Of course not, Harry.
she all right?
I don't know what it is. She feels warm. Maybe it's shock.
Where'd you get the bandage?
Some laundry in a basket. I tore a sheet.
Let them stay upstairs. Let them. Too many ways those monsters can get in up there. We'll see who's right. We'll see when they come begging me to let them in down here.
That's important, isn't it?
What?
To be right, everybody else to be wrong.
What do you mean by that?
This film was shot in over 30 days.
Attacked?
Whatever it isn't just happening here. It's some kind of mass murder. It's going on everywhere. The radio said to stay inside.
Radio?
Radio upstairs. I heard a news bulletin.
There's a radio upstairs and you boarded us in down here?
I know what I'm doing.
What did it say?
Nothing. Nothing. They don't know anything yet. There's mass murder everywhere, and people are supposed to look for a safe place to hide.
Take the boards off that door.
We are staying down here, Helen.
Harry, that radio is at least some kind of communication. If the authorities know what's happening, well, they'll send people for us to tell us what to do. How are we going to know what's going on if we lock ourselves in this dungeon? We may not enjoy living together, but dying together isn't going to solve anything. Those people aren't our enemies.
Mr. Cooper! Mr. Cooper, Ben found a television set upstairs.
Let's go up. Tom?
Yeah.
If Judy would come downstairs for a few minutes, Harry and I could come upstairs.
Okay, yeah, right away.
Will you do it?
Do I have to?
Look, honey, nothing's gonna get done with them down there and us up here. Do this for me.
Okay.
Okay, open up.
I'll take good care of her, Helen.
She's all I have.
Why don't you go upstairs now?
And much of the dialogue in this film was improvised. There wasn't full scripts.
Her brother was killed.
Hey, give me a hand with this thing.
I gotta go help Ben with the television.
The television that they're going to show you is a 1952 Motorola 17T5E.
Don't be afraid of me. I'm Helen Cooper, Harry's wife.
This place is ridiculous. Look at this. There's a million weak spots up here. Give me one of those.
Her brother was killed.
And they talk about these windows. I can't see a damn thing. There could be 50 million of those things out there. That's how much good these windows are.
Why don't you do something to help somebody?
Here I have it. Drag a couple of those chairs together.
There's a socket over here.
You better watch this and try to understand what's going on. I don't want anyone's life on my hands.
Is there anything I can do to help?
I don't want to hear any more from you, mister. If you stay up here, you take orders from me. And that includes leaving the girl alone.
It's on, it's on.
There's no sound. Play with the rabbit ears.
Reports, incredible as they seem, are not the results of mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria. What do they think? We're imagining all this? Shut up!
Specialists in all parts of the country. The wave of murder which is sweeping the eastern third of the nation is being committed by creatures who feast upon the flesh of their victims. First eyewitness accounts of this grisly development came from people who were understandably frightened and almost incoherent. Officials and newsmen at first discounted those eyewitness descriptions as being beyond belief. However, the reports persisted. The medical examinations of some of the victims bore out the fact that they had been partially devoured. I think we have some late word just arriving, and I'll interrupt to bring this to you. This is the latest disclosure in a report from National Civil Defense Headquarters in Washington. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. A widespread investigation of reports from funeral homes, morgues, and hospitals has concluded that the unburied dead are coming back to life and seeking human victims. It's hard for us here to believe what we're reporting to you, but it does seem to be a fact. When this emergency first began, radio and television was advising people to stay inside, behind locked doors for safety. Well, that situation has now changed, and we're able to report a definite course of action for you. Civil defense machinery has been organized to provide rescue stations with food, shelter, medical treatment, and protection by armed National Guardsmen. Stay tuned to the broadcasting stations in your local area for this list of rescue stations. This list will be repeated throughout our news coverage. Look for the name of the rescue station nearest you and make your way to that location as soon as possible.
So we have that truck. If we can get some gas, we can get out of here.
There's a pump out by the shed.
I know, that's why I pulled in here, but it's locked.
Called this afternoon by the president. Since convening this conference of the presidential cabinet, the
So
FBI,
Ben
the Joint
is
Chiefs
one of the
Staff,
main lead
the CIA,
characters,
has not produced
played
any
by
public
DUANE,
information.
and Barbara,
Why are space
the female,
experts being
is,
consulted
I
about
guess,
an
what
earthbound
would say
emergency?
second lead.
So far, all the betting on the answer to that question centers on the recent Explorer satellite shot to Venus. That satellite, you'll recall, started back to Earth, but never got here. That's the space vehicle which orbited Venus and then was purposely destroyed by NASA when scientists discovered it was carrying a mysterious high-level radiation with it.
And that
Could
is
that
what
radiation
they
be somehow
think
responsible for the
caused
wholesale murders we're
the
now
zombie
suffering?
uprising in this
Newsman
film.
Don Quinn in Washington has posed those questions.
It's obvious our best move is to try to get out of here.
How are you going to get over to that pump?
Look.
You're coming from a meeting regarding the explosion of the Venus probe, is that right?
Yes, that was the subject of the meeting.
You feel there is a connection between this and the phenomenon?
There's a definite connection.
In other words, you feel that the radiation on the Venus probe is enough to cause these mutations?
There was a very high degree of radiation.
Well, just a minute. I'm not sure that that's certain at all. I don't think that has been
logical explanation that we have at this time.
In other words, it is the military's viewpoint that the radiation is not the cause of the mutation.
I can't speak for the entire military at this time, gentlemen. I must disagree with these gentlemen presently until this is irrefutably proved.
Everything is being done that can be done.
We'll have to hurry for our next meeting.
Professor, you feel that there is a definite connection between
definite connection as far as Dr. Keller and myself.
Doctor, please. I thought we decided that is not proved yet.
Was the satellite, when the satellite was exploded?
An unusual amount of radiation, enough to cause mutation under certain circumstances.
Could have happened.
Have a bearing on it.
It does seem to have a bearing on it.
Will there be a reply for this further?
Later?
Yes.
There will be a reply.
Yes.
Later this afternoon. There will be a report this afternoon.
Well, perhaps there will be a report, a more full report. Will you close the window?
We are doing everything possible to solve the problem.
We're hoping to get some further explanation of this.
We've heard all we need to know. We have to try to get out of here.
He said the rescue stations have doctors and medical supplies. If we could get care in there, we could get help for her.
Pelmo is one of the world's foremost authorities on space science and technology.
Willard. I saw a sign that said Willard.
It's only about 17 miles from here.
You know this area. You from around here?
Judy and I are both from around here. We were on our way up to the lake to go swimming, and Judy had a radio, and we heard the first reports about this. So we knew the old house was here, and we came in and found the lady upstairs dead. Then these other people came. We went down into the basement and put a bar across the door, and it is pretty strong.
How could we possibly get away from here? We've got a sick child, 2 women, 1 woman out of her head, 3 men, and the place is surrounded with these things.
For NASA. Dr. Grimes, your entire staff, I know, has been working very hard to find some solution to these things that are happening. Do you have any answers at this time?
Yes, we have some answers. But first, let me stress the importance of seeking medical attention for anyone who's been injured in any way. We don't know yet what complications might result from such injuries.
How bad has your kid been hurt?
Good advice, Doctor. Now, how about the basic treatment basis? Well,
look, you go down there and tell Judy? Yeah, you tell Judy to come up here and you stay with the kid, all right?
Action taken with regard to the Venus probe. In the cold room at the university, we had a cadaver from which all 4 limbs had been amputated. Sometime early this morning, it opened its eyes and began to move its trunk. It was dead, but it opened its eyes and tried to move.
They want you upstairs. Did she ask for me?
She hasn't said anything.
I don't understand. Baby. It's Mommy.
I heard. I'll come back down as soon as I find out what they want.
Thank you, Judy.
The body should be disposed of at once, preferably by cremation.
Well, how long after death, then, does the body become reactivated?
It's only a matter of minutes.
Minutes? Well, that doesn't give people time to make any arrangements.
Oh, you're right. It doesn't give them time to make funeral arrangements. The bodies must be carried to the street and burned. They must be burned immediately. Soak them with gasoline and burn them. The bereaved will have to forego the dubious comforts that a funeral service will give. They're just dead flesh and dangerous.
I see.
Judy, I need you to find some bedspreads or sheets to tear up into small strips, okay? Is there a fruit cellar here?
Yes.
We need some bottles or jars. Make Molotov cocktails to hold them off while we try to escape.
Hey, there's a big can of kerosene down there.
I'll see what I can find.
I'll look for the bottles.
There's a big key ring down there. There may be a key to the gas pump on it.
I'll check.
We can toss the cocktails from a window upstairs. Meantime, a couple of us can go out and try to get the gas and come back for the rest of the people.
But that'll leave a door open someplace.
Yeah, that's right. It better be this door. It's closer to the truck. Before we go out, we'll put some supplies behind the cellar door. While we're gone, the rest of you can hold up in there.
I found some fruit jars in the cellar. And there's a key on here that's labeled for the gas pump out back.
I'm not really that used to the truck. I found it abandoned.
I can handle the truck, no sweat.
You're it, then. You and I'll go. We'll put whatever lumber we find behind the cellar door. You can go upstairs and toss the cocktails from a window. Tom, you and I will have to unboard this door. After you toss the cocktails, you hustle them back down here and lock this door. It's no good to board it up because we'll have to get back in quickly. After we get the gas and get back into the house, then we'll worry about getting everybody into the truck. Now let's move it.
No place to flee for safety, except to the rescue stations which have been set up. Indications are that before this emergency is over, we will need many, many more such rescue stations.
You always have a smile for me. How can you smile like that all the time? How many do you have done? Come on, honey, we gotta move.
Tom, are you sure about the phone?
The phone is dead out. All you get is a recorded message.
If I could only call the folks. They're going to be so worried about us.
It'll be all right. As soon as we get to Willard, we'll call them. They might even be there.
I know. Tom, are you sure we're doing the right thing, Tom?
What, about getting out of here?
Yeah.
Well, the television said that's the right thing to do. We've got to get to a rescue station.
I don't know.
Come on, honey, you're starting to sound like Mr. Cooper now.
But why do you have to go out there?
Look, I know how to handle that truck, and I can handle the pump. Ben doesn't know anything about that stuff.
But we're safe in here.
For how long, honey? We're safe now. But there's going to be more and more of those things.
I know all that.
Hey, listen. Remember when we had the big flood? Remember how difficult it was for us to convince you that it was right to leave? Remember we had to go to Willard then? This isn't a passing thing, honey. It's not like just a wind passing through. We've got to do something, and fast.
I just don't want you to go out there, that's all.
Hey, Smiley. Where's that big smile for me? Boy, you're sure no use at all, are you? We've got work to do, honey. And you...
We better get her downstairs.
We have to go downstairs now, Barbara.
She's right. You have to go downstairs now, just for a little while, until we get back. Then we can all leave.
Oh, I'd like to leave. Yes.
Good luck.
Yeah.
So there were 2 trucks used in the film. In the very beginning, when you see Ben here, he has 1 truck, right? That he runs out of gas at the house. Well, that truck would not start, so they had to bring in a second vehicle, but what they forgot to do was break the headlights in the second truck, because the first truck had broken headlights. In this, you'll see here that the headlights in the second truck that they had to use, they're not broken. That's one of the little goofs there that they messed up on.
You ready upstairs? Yeah. Okay, toss them. Come on! Get in!
This key won't work.
Watch it. Watch the torch.
You gotta get away from the pump. Hang on.
Tom, turn your cruise and get out of the truck.
Let's get out of here. Come on, come on.
My jacket's gone.
Drag you out there and feed you those things.
The zombies will be eating things in the back of this truck, and what they are eating is cooked or roasted ham covered in chocolate sauce. The filmmakers joked that it was so nausea-inducing that it was almost a waste of time putting the makeup on the zombies, as they ended up looking pale and sick anyways. So all of that in there is actual animal and chocolate syrup. So it's a roasted ham and chocolate syrup. It sounds really good together. They are eating real food here. Real animal stuff, meat. And Bosco's chocolate syrup. But the black and white version really makes it stand out, right? Like, the colored version of this film, it's just not the same. It doesn't have the same effect. And the special effects makeup, they used silly putty, wax, as well to create the skin look.
Isn't it 3 o'clock yet? There's supposed to be another broadcast at 3 o'clock.
10 minutes.
Oh, only 10 more minutes? We don't have very long to wait. We can leave. Well, we better leave soon. It's 10 minutes to 3.
You know anything about this area at all? I mean, is Willard the nearest town?
I don't know. We were just trying to get to a motel before dark.
You said those things turned your car over. You think we can get it back on its wheels and drive it? Where is it?
Seems like it was pretty far away. Seems like we ran.
Forget it. It's at least a mile.
Johnny has the keys.
You're gonna carry that child a mile through that army of things out there?
I can carry the kid. What's wrong with her? How'd she get hurt?
One of those things grabbed her.
Bit her on the arm.
What's wrong?
Who knows what kind of disease those things carry? Is she conscious?
Barely.
She can't walk. She's too weak.
Well, one of us could try to get to the car.
You gonna turn it over by yourself?
You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.
You have a car? Where? Where is it?
You won't be able to start it.
Yeah, I know. But where is it?
Good Lord.
Being monitored closely by scientists at all the radiation detection stations. At this hour, they report the level of the mysterious radiation continues to increase steadily. So long as this situation remains, government spokesmen warn that dead bodies will continue to be transformed into the flesh-eating ghouls. All persons who die during this crisis, from whatever cause, will come back to life to seek human victims unless their bodies are first disposed of by cremation.
It
Our news
loses
cameras
that
have just
eerie,
returned
creepy
from covering
look
such a search and destroy
because
operation
it's all
against the ghouls.
colorized.
This one conducted
Where
by
in black
Sheriff
and
Colin
white,
McClellan
it
in
kind
Butler
of
County,
covers a lot of the
Pennsylvania.
stuff that you
So now let's go
can't
to
tell
that
what
film
it is.
report. All law
I
enforcement
don't know, that's just
agencies
my
and
opinion.
the military
I definitely
have
watched
been
it
organized
in
to search out
Technicolor,
and
for sure.
destroy the marauding ghouls.
And a lot of
The
the
Survival Command Center at the
weaponry
Pentagon has
and stuff that you
disclosed
see
that a
here
ghoul
is
can
actually
be
supplied by the
killed
local police
by a shot
department.
in the head or a heavy blow to the skull. Officials are quoted as explaining that since the brain of a ghoul has been activated by the radiation, the plan is kill the brain and you kill the ghoul.
What do you think from the supply wagon, Cuss?
No, we're all right.
Okay.
Hey, Cass, put that thing all the way in the fire. We don't want it getting up again. All right, I got you.
Chief McClellan, how's everything going?
Oh, things aren't going too bad. Men are taking it pretty good. You want to get on the other side of the road over there?
Chief, do you think we'll be able to defeat these things?
Well, we killed 19 of them today right in this area. Those last 3 we caught trying to claw their way into an abandoned shed. They must have thought somebody was in there. There wasn't, though. We heard them making all kind of noise. We came over and beat them off, blasted them down.
Chief, as soon as you're finished, can I see you here?
Yeah, okay.
Chief, if I were surrounded by 6 or 8 of these things, would I stand a chance with them?
Well, there's no problem. If you had a gun, shoot them in the head. That's a sure way to kill them. If you don't, get yourself a club or a torch. Beat them or burn them. They go up pretty easy.
Well, Chief McClellan, how long do you think it will take you until you get the situation under control?
Well, that's pretty hard to say. We don't know how many of them there are. We know when we find them, we can kill them.
Are they slow-moving, Chief?
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
Well, in time, would you say you ought to be able to wrap this up in 24 hours?
Well, we don't really know. We know we'll be into it most of the night, probably into the early morning. We're working our way toward Willard, and we'll team up with the National Guard over there, and then we'll be able to give a more definite view.
Thank you very much, Chief McClellan. This is Bill Cardill, WIC TV 11 News.
Thank you, Bill, for that report. Official spokesman declined to speculate just how long it may take to kill off all the flesh eaters, so long as the heavy rain.
Is the fuse box in the cellar?
I don't know. It isn't the fuse. The power lines are down. Helen, I have to get that gun.
Haven't you had enough?
Look, 2 people are dead already on account of that guy. Take a look out that window.
Her husband just stands there.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You want to stay up here now? Helen, get the cellar. Get the cellar now. Move!
The surprise on her face is real because they didn't tell the actors, DUANE or her, that she will be grabbed by zombies. So the look on her face, the shock, that's a real look. That's a real emotion. And in this film, the filmmakers were accused of being satanically inspired by a Christian fundamentalist group for their portrayal of the undead feeding on flesh and of the Cooper's little girl attacking her mother. And as you can see here, the matricide scene was accomplished by having Kara Sean stab repeatedly into an off-screen pillow with a trowel while a member of the effects crew threw chocolate syrup, which was used as the fake blood, on the wall. These scenes were looped with scenes of Marilyn Eastman screaming. The trowel used in the scene was purchased online years later and is now in a private collection. And this scene here inspired Tobe Hooper to do his thing in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you don't actually see the gore of the chainsaw and stuff. This here inspired him to do that whole your imagination will create your worst fears instead of showing you the gore. zombies eat the couple that are in the truck? Yeah. I'm glad you guys were liking the silver screen. And oh, you're quite welcome, Formo. I love doing these things. No, this is the first time we're doing it on YouTube, yeah. Also, believe it or not, Barbara was supposed to be the sole survivor of the zombie onslaught. This idea was then later incorporated into the remake of Night of the Living Dead in 1990. Yes, Reeks, the first silver screen was done on Mixer.
Sal, you want to get about 4 or 5 men and a couple dogs? There's a house over here behind those trees. We want to go check it out. You still here, Bill?
Yeah, Chief, we're going to stay with it till we meet up with the National Guard.
Where'd you get the coffee?
One of the volunteers. You're doing all the work. You take it.
Thank you. We should be wrapped up here about 3 or 4 more hours. We'll probably get into Willard then. I guess you can go over there and meet the National Guard. Nick, you and the rest of these men want to come with me?
Well, Bill, I'm gonna check in the office, see what's happening.
All right, Steve. Tell him we're going to stay with it, and everything appears to be under control.
We go inside.
Well, right. This is the very first actual zombie film ever made. So, excluding White Zombie from 1930s with Bela Lugosi, White Zombie was dealt with brainwashed zombies, not undead. So Romero created like the first zombie film of all time, and so there was no like base script to do this. I mean, there was the Omega Man, which was made in the 70s, and then there was The Last Man on Earth, which was made in 1964, which is based on the novel by Richard Matheson called I Am Legend, which is also a movie with Mel Smith that was made later on in the years. So when they were creating this film, there was no layout or blueprint of how zombies should act or react or how they should walk or be. So they created them like this. You would think that someone that were just recently undead would still have some of their motor skills of knowing how to use a brick or a rock.
You, drag that out of here and throw it on the fire. Nothing down here. All right, go ahead down and give him a hand. Let's go check
Again,
out the
all
house.
of the
There's
stuff that
something
you
there.
see
I heard
here,
a
like the
noise.
guns, the ammo, the ammo belt, this is all from the police.
All right, Vince, hit him in the head, right between the eyes.
There was an alternate ending to this that Dwayne Jones.
Shot. Okay, he's
So
dead.
as
Let's
you can
go
see,
get him.
Dwayne
That's another
Jones
one
was
for the
just
fire.
murdered. Dwayne fought against the alternate ending that would have saved Ben. So there was an alternate ending where Ben was a survivor, but Dwayne Jones fought against that. One of the famous elements is that it's grim ending in which Ben, having survived the night, is shot by the sheriff's zombie hunting posse and thrown on the fire. At one point, a happier ending for the film was considered, but Jones did not want the alternate ending. In an interview, he was quoted saying, "I convinced George that the black community would rather see me dead than saved. After all, they had gone on in a corny, symbolic, confusing way," Jones said. "The heroes never die in American movies. The jolt of that and the double jolt of the hero being black seemed like a double-barrel whammy." And Dwayne Jones, in a final interview before his death, Dwayne Jones admitted that he'd never seen any of the Dead movies nor any other George Romero film. Thought that was crazy. I love this film. Romero's Night of the Living Dead opened the genre for our zombie genre that we have nowadays. I don't believe without this film that we would have movies like 28 Days Later or Return of the Living Dead. Entertainment Weekly ranked this as the 13th scariest film of all time.
Hey, Randy, light these torches over
It's
here.
definitely a great film. Definitely a great film. There's a lot of history to this film, a lot of information. I just only gave you some bits and pieces of info, but if you're interested in any other information on this film, I highly suggest you Google or go to IMDb and do Night of the Living Dead. I hope you guys enjoyed the film. Oh, hi there. Our next Silver Scream will be on June 27th at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you guys want to join in, I will put a post in the Discord to vote on the next Silver Scream. And if you are watching this after the live and you enjoy it, make sure you leave a comment down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and that like button. If you are wanting to suggest a movie for the next Silver Screen, please put so in the comments. I love taking recommendations from others. As long as it's a public domain film, I'll be able to show it here on Twitch. Thank you guys so very much for hanging out with me. The film that we recently watched was Night of the Living Dead by George A. Romero, 1968. The next Silver Screen will be June 27th. Have a good night, everyone.